Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FTD webinar titled, Get Your Website Ready for the Holidays. We are excited to welcome today's featured presenter, Paul Denton, a strategic merchant success manager with Shopify. As a quick housekeeping note, Paul will be taking questions throughout the session. If you have a question, simply type it in the chat box in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's dig right in. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks, Janet. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today and welcome to our webinar where we'll be talking about best practices for merchandising on your Shopify store. So to kick us off, I'll introduce myself. As Janet mentioned, my name is Paul Denton. I'll be your host for today's presentation. I'm a strategic merchant success manager here at Shopify Plus. I've been with the company for almost 2 years now, and my primary role is to help merchants such as yourselves expand your business using the Shopify platform. Prior to joining Shopify, I actually co-founded a retail business in New Zealand with my brother, which has multiple brick and mortar retail locations, as well as an online store, which is powered by Shopify. So I understand the process of learning this platform from scratch, and I look forward to sharing my experiences with you today. So for our agenda, we'll set the stage by discussing why having an easily shoppable website is so important. And we'll chat about some of the key similarities between online and in-store merchandising practices. And following that, we'll go over some of the key tactics that you can employ to ensure that you have a well-merchandised site, and we'll leave some room at the end for a Q&A. Also, one thing to note is that we've added an appendix at the end of this presentation, which will contain step-by-step instructions on any of the recommendations that are made and how to implement these. So we'll share that with you at the conclusion of the webinar as well. So to kick things off, why is it important to have an easily shoppable website? So people are generally very impatient with poor experiences when they're shopping online. You never know how much of a rush they might be in or what else they might be distracted by while they're browsing your website. It's not like in-store where you can see them physically browsing and you can chat with them. They could be at work and they're just trying to find some flowers while they're on a coffee break, or they might be just mindlessly scrolling their phone while they're watching Netflix at night. So it's crucial to make the experience as seamless as possible for them and then maximize the opportunity of turning that shopper into a customer. I wanted to share these 3 stats with you on the slide, which should really highlight the importance of actively working on your store's merchandising and ensuring a good user experience. So studies have shown that 88% of people will not return to a website in which they've had a poor first experience. Poor experiences can include things like not being able to find the product or the information they were looking for quickly enough, or there might be poor imagery on the website that actually stops them from really understanding what they're buying, or you might have lots of products that are out of stock or not available when the customer wants them. First impressions last, and so if you were to lose 88% of all the people that visit your store due to that poor experience, you're quickly going to eat up the pool of potential customers that you have, and it's going to become very, very difficult to run a sustainable business online. So looking at it in a more positive way, stores that do have a great user experience and are well merchandised, on average, will earn a 35% more revenue when compared with stores that have a poor user experience. So that's a really big incentive to really lean into this side of your business. And this last stat here is very telling about how important quality merchandising is. You have, in general, around 2.6 seconds to grab the attention of the user. It takes about that long for them to settle on the main message of any page that they've landed on your website. And so if you don't grab their attention within that period of time, the probability that you're going to lose that customer starts to rapidly increase second by second after that. So we always need to be trying to anticipate what our customers are looking for before they land on the website, and then optimizing the store layout to match that. So knowing how important this stuff is, how do we know if we're doing a good job? These 3 metrics that you see on this slide are essentially the holy grail for any e-commerce site, and they should be something that you're regularly monitoring to evaluate your performance. The most relevant when thinking about merchandising is your conversion rate. So how many of your shoppers who land on the website are converting into customers. Obviously, if a shopper is able to find the products they're looking for, and then they're easily able to navigate their way to the checkout, we are going to dramatically increase our conversion rate. Following that is average order value. How much money is each of your customers spending on average every time they check out? We're going to sort of share some tactics on how to increase this later in the presentation. But in a nutshell, if you can increase this alongside increasing your conversion rate, you're going to have more customers spending more money, and your revenue growth will become very healthy very quickly. Finally, retention rate tells us how many of your customers are returning to shop with you again and again. This again goes without saying, but obviously having a well-merchandised store that allows your customers to find what they're looking for and makes shopping for flowers a breeze is going to have a big impact on the likelihood that your brand's going to be top of mind the next time that customer needs flowers, and it's going to drive up your customer retention rate. If you can steadily increase these three metrics over time, it's going to lead to consistent top-line growth and a very sustainable online store. And you can easily track these three metrics in the analytics section of your Shopify store. And I'd recommend keeping an eye on them on a regular basis so that you can see the impact of any updates that you're making to the site sort of in real time. So when thinking about how to lay out your online store and merchandising, I actually find it really helpful to think about it the same way you would when arranging a brick and mortar shop. A lot of the same principles apply here, and you need to show the same level of care to your website that you do to your beautiful shop floor. The layout and merchandising should be updated season by season. It should be updated when new stock is coming in or additional product lines are released. And you should be thinking about sort of the customer journey. What do you want them to see when they first land on the site versus later into their buying journey? All of these same principles apply to how you would think about this in store. And I wanted to highlight 4 of these major similarities that can kind of help you think about the way you approach your online store. First is that your website homepage is essentially the online equivalent of your store's entrance and the front window display. So the first thing that your customers see when they enter, it's the first thing that your customers see when they enter, and it should be branded and arranged as such. The homepage banner should have a beautiful image that represents your brand in the same way that your shop's exterior signage and store decorations might. And your featured products section on the homepage should be arranged with similar principles to how you would arrange your shop's window display or your main window display. If it's close to Valentine's Day, you're likely going to have more red roses in the window. Prior to Thanksgiving, you might have more Thanksgiving style bouquets, etc., etc. Your website layout also can be thought of in the same way as how you would arrange your physical store. How do you categorize your products? Which category do you want people to see when they first come through the doors versus what do you want them to see later on in the buying journey? And then which products do you arrange at eye level in store? So that could be kind of the same as what are the first 2 rows of items that show up on any category page? What are the things that you want to draw people's attention to? And the same goes with your website navigation. So website menus, your buttons, the product titles, descriptions. These are the online equivalent of your in-store signage, and they help people to find their way through your online stores. And actually, they're even more crucial than your in-store signage in a brick and mortar shop, because online, you don't have a customer service representative who can go up and actually guide the customer through the shop. And also, your customers can only view one page at a time. They can't be scanning the whole store with their eyes while they look at a certain category. So it's crucial that your navigation and menus actually guide the process and make it really easy for them to find the next step in the buying journey. And finally, another crucial element that you want to the way that you would lay out a physical store is which products do you place close to the checkout line. So this is often a time where you can get people to add additional items into their basket and increase the amount of spend in the transactions. And the online equivalent of this is the custom add-ons section that you have in your cart page. And we'll discuss that in more detail shortly. Anyway, I hope that's helpful for anyone maybe that's less experienced with running an online store to use this as like a mental model for thinking about how to merchandise online and why it's so important to regularly update your site and keep it in line with what you're doing on the brick and mortar shop floor. So moving on to the specific tactics that you should be focusing on. We're going to start out with including your best sellers on the homepage. So, sorry, that one, yeah. When it comes to the featured product section on your homepage, anticipating what products your customers are looking for and what is going to sell best at any given time of the year, and then displaying these products to your customers in this key piece of your website real estate is probably one of the most impactful things you can do to increase your retention rate online. As we mentioned before, customers are very impatient when they're shopping online. So as much as we possibly can, we need to increase the probability that they find the product they're looking for within their first few clicks. To do this, we can leverage the analytics section of your website. So you can pull reports that show what are your top selling items during any given month of the year. And then you can subsequently update the site and update this category to reflect that. It doesn't always just have to be the top selling items though. You might have a new product that's coming out that you're confident is going to be popular and you want to showcase that. Feel free to add that in, or if you have some really good specials on particular products during any given time and you want to highlight those in the featured product section, go for it. You can hero these as well. It's just about featuring what you know your customers are most likely to purchase and presenting these in this key area of the site. Also, you can highlight other items outside of this featured product section, and you do this by adding an additional section underneath using the theme editor in the back end of your Shopify store. For an example, you can see in the bottom image on the slide here that the team at Kiss Floral have added 2 links to other complementary product sections they have, which is a milk bar and a baked goods section. This is another way to highlight additional products that might be outside of just those key number 1 items you're looking to move most often. Next up, let's talk about CTA buttons or call to action buttons. Call to action buttons are vital in helping your customers navigate your online store. They guide the next step in the buying journey and they need to be implemented with great care. First, we need to make sure that they're obvious and clearly visible. For example, when they're on the homepage, we need to make it easy to find where they're going to shop for products. When a customer's on the product page, we need to guide them seamlessly to the cart page. When they're in the cart page, we need to then make sure it's clear how to get to the checkout, etc., etc. And we do this by making sure we place these call to action buttons in prominent areas of the screen that draw the eye's attention. We also then need to make sure that the colors of the buttons are bold and they stand out clearly from the background, usually with some white space around them, unless they're laid over the top of images like your homepage banner. Then you just need to make sure that it contrasts with whatever that background looks like. You can see an example of that in the top image on the slide here. The button should include also action-related words, hence the name. So such as shop now and add to basket or proceed to checkout. We're always trying to elicit a response from the shopper. And then finally, feel free to get creative with your CTAs as well and test different options, test different colors. E.g., you could, at Valentine's Day, instead of just having a simple shop now, you could add in something along the lines of shop gifts for her or sweep them off their feet. Something catchy. You can really use your CTA button to show off a little bit about your brand's tone of voice. So definitely don't just go with the status quo here. Feel free to play around with it and try to test different options. And finally, to note that updating these call to action buttons is actually really easy using the Shopify platform. I would get familiar with the theme editor in your back end, and I've actually included some instructions in the appendix to this presentation on how to do that step by step. So definitely dive in and feel free to play around with these. It's super easy to do so. Okay, moving on to including local products that are available. So by this, we're referring to ensuring that your product catalog actually offers everything that you do in store, especially products that you have available for local delivery. So when managing your online store, we want to try to give your customers who come in store the same experience that online, and then vice versa. or as close as we possibly can. A key aspect of this is ensuring that we are regularly uploading any new products that you have to the site, making sure we match those product catalogs as much as we possibly can. Uploading products, again, is a super simple process with Shopify, and I've supplied the instructions on how to do this in the appendix, including some best practices around how to photograph your items before uploading them. So offering this broader catalog and highlighting some local products that are available for local delivery can really have a big impact on your conversion and retention rates. So I'd highly encourage you to make sure that you're not neglecting the website, and make sure that all of the cool products that you're offering in store are making their way on site as well. Now moving on to pricing. When thinking about pricing from a merchandising perspective, I wanted to highlight three key recommendations here. One, you want to ensure that you're highlighting a range of price points to your customers in prominent areas on the site. So whether it's your featured product section on the homepage or in the category pages, you don't want to only show the most expensive items to a customer in the key visible areas, as you might quickly lose the attention of a whole section of your customers. Including a range of options can try to keep the attention of as many shoppers as possible and drive more people towards conversion. You also want to make sure that any site-wide discounts that you have on offer are clearly highlighted throughout the store. So using the homepage header or the banner on your homepage or other images throughout the site to highlight what these codes are and what the sale is all about is really crucial to making sure that people obviously utilize it, and it can increase your conversion rate. In the top image, you can see an example of this. They've clearly outlined there's a Black Friday sale ending tonight, which again is another psychological cue to try and create urgency in the customer. And then there's a code there. They can go and plug that in at checkout and get 20% off. You're obviously going to increase your conversion rate with these things available to customers. And then finally, you can also use strike-through pricing to highlight discounts on, say, more singular items or groups of items that you're wanting to highlight. The strike-through price grabs the attention of the shopper as they scroll through a category page, and it increases the chance that they're going to purchase that particular item. It's a great tactic to use, especially if you're trying to move inventory that maybe has had a slower sell-through rate than expected, and you're wanting to try and move on some of that stock. This is a great way to highlight the customer's attention to that discount that's available and get them to check out. Again, implementing all of these tactics is super straightforward, and you can find the instructions again in the appendix that'll be shared afterwards. And then lastly, I wanted to talk to you about custom add-ons. So like we mentioned earlier, custom add-ons can be displayed in the cart page, and these are the equivalent of your checkout line merchandising in store. If done well, custom add-ons can actually increase your store's revenue by up to 43%. So a really big incentive to do this and do it well. A lot of people have a belief that in-cart upsells can be a little pushy, or can feel like you're sort of pushing product down the customer's throat a little bit. However, the exact opposite of this is true. And I'd say that's especially the case in your industry. Highlighting great complementary products such as chocolates that go with flowers shows the customer something that they didn't actually know they needed. And when they click and make that purchase, they're actually more grateful for it. And that's why they added it to cart in the first place. This enhances your user experience and leads to a higher retention rate with customers. You may have many standard options that are available today in the custom add-ons section, but again, I'd encourage you to add in additional add-ons. You might have local products that complement really well with things that are being sold on your website. Make sure that anything that pairs well with a particular item that's getting added to cart shows up in this custom add-ons section, and show a variety of products there for people to choose from. When uploading these custom add-ons through your MHQ software, you can actually dictate which items display alongside a particular bouquet or flower arrangement that gets added to the cart. So you always want to be thinking about what is most frequently bought together, and look at the data, not just kind of go off your sort of intuitive knowledge about it. When someone is sort of buying red roses, maybe we want the teddy bear and the chocolates to appear at the top. But if somebody was, shopping for a wedding bouquet, maybe it's the balloon and the gift or greeting card that might be the most likely custom add-ons that they're going to choose. We want to go through and make the effort to make sure that those custom add-ons are the most relevant they possibly can be. Like we mentioned earlier, there's a 43% increase in revenue available to you there. So going in and working through the details of this is a very valuable exercise, and I'd encourage everybody to put the work in for it. All these little details, when you add them all up together, make a big impact to the way your customers shop online, and can really increase those 3 metrics that we talked about earlier. That is actually all for the recommendations. As I mentioned, we've got more information in the appendix, which we'll be sharing afterwards, but I will stop it there because I wanted to leave some room for questions. So please fire away if you haven't already added them in the chat. These can be related to any of the tactics that we shared or anything just Shopify related. Go for it.
Thanks, Paul, for sharing that invaluable knowledge with us. There's definitely a lot of great stuff in there. As he mentioned, we're open for questions. I haven't seen anything in the chat yet, but just type them in the chat box and we'll be sure to ask those of Paul. And then, Paul, while we give people a chance to ask any final questions, can you please share some great resources that Shopify has available?
Yeah, for sure. So we also have these, and again, I'd recommend you going and checking these out after you get the presentation deck sent through. So the top one is the Shopify Plus Academy. You've all got access to this with your standard Shopify login. I'd recommend going and checking this out. It's a super helpful resource that just has tons of sort of short form courses that you can take on anything from the types of things we discussed today, or, I mean, yeah, it escapes me on the good examples, but there's a ton of different resources, a ton of different courses in there around whether it's UX design or selling business to business on Shopify. There's tons of different things that you can learn about, and they're all in really digestible format. So I'd recommend going and checking those out. And the other big one, which you're probably aware of, but may not have used too much, is the Shopify Help Center. I spend a lot of my time in the Shopify Help Center. We have like incredible documentation that breaks down step-by-step instructions on literally anything to do with this platform. And the search works really well. So if you ever get stuck on anything to do with Shopify, or there's something that you're wanting to learn more about, or a feature that you can't seem to implement correctly, just type it into the Help Center and it's going to direct you into the right place. So it's a great first port of call before you get frustrated and have to reach out to support or your merchant success manager. It's usually housed in the Shopify Help Center there. So I'd highly recommend jumping in there and playing around.
Fantastic. That I can't even imagine how much great information and training is available in there. So yes, everybody, please, you will get, I've already dropped it in the chat, but also when we send a follow-up email tomorrow with the link to the recorded session, so you can watch it again. I'll also include the PDF with all of this information in there as well. And then Kate wanted to mention to remember to always have your Google My Business set to your MOL website, your Mercury Online website. So for those of you on Mercury Online, make sure you do that. We do have a question, Paul, from Shannon. Does Shopify offer a lookbook for users to add a gallery to their website?
That is a good question. Offer. Are you able to clarify like a lookbook in terms of a bunch of set images that you can just use, or is it more of a function of how you can upload a gallery to your website?
Yeah, if you can let us know, Shannon, that would be helpful. And then I don't know if that's more of an what the Mercury Online, the FTD Mercury Online websites can do or not. So
yeah, let me know, and even if we follow up, I can definitely get a response through to you via email too.
Absolutely, yeah. If we can't get an answer before we're done here. But as a reminder, everybody, if you've got any other questions, pop them in the chat. And we do have from Kate says they can upload pictures of your custom products to your website. So if that, Shannon, is what you were thinking of. Yeah, she said an uploaded gallery of previous work for customers to get inspiration from.
Oh, yeah. I think that might be more to do specifically with the MOL. There's probably sections that you can add to the store. I would recommend chatting with the team at FTD about this, and they can probably find a way to upload a section that allows you to showcase a lookbook online.
Yes, and Shannon, actually know that is because when I was helping get stuff for Paul for this presentation, I saw a shop that had they had added a wedding gallery section and a sympathy gallery section, and Kate just confirmed that yes, they can. And then Paul, we do have another question that came in. Do the add-ons need to be simple? One option, for example, a bear at 1985, or should you do a link off the add-on so that they could offer a choice of bears with different prices?
That one
Great
again
question.
might be specific to how they're being uploaded through your MHQ software. But usually an add-on, I'd probably try to keep them to single variants, because you don't want to try and, when someone's that close to the checkout or they're in that cart page, we probably don't want to add any interruptions that are going to have to take them away from the cart. Would generally be best practice. So I'd try to keep it simple. And if you know that the teddy bear is going to be a big popular one, maybe just add a few options in the add-on section itself.
Yeah, that's a great question that came in, and yeah, you definitely don't want to frustrate people if you want them to push through there and convert that sale. Shannon says, thank you. I don't see anything else. We do have a couple minutes, so maybe we'll wait if any more questions, if you want to show us that appendix really quick.
Yeah, so just quickly, here's the appendix that I've added. Tried to break it down as simply as possible, and there's some links in there as well for anything that needs more information, but sort of for updating or changing your featured product section, there's some step-by-step instructions here on the right-hand side of how to do that. Super simple process, and I'd recommend just getting in the back end of Shopify as often as you can to just like learn all the tips and tricks here, because it really is a simple platform to use. Editing your call to action buttons. Again, this is something I think a lot of people stay away from because they don't like playing with the themes, but it is a very simple process. Again, if you get into the online store and get into your theme, click customize, there's a little section down here on the right hand side where you can play with the button colors and what gets displayed. So that's the shop fall collection label, etc. Those things, super simple. You can do those, save the changes, and then you'll see the updates on your site. And then here's that kind of update around how to photograph your products before you upload them, and then how to simply upload your products. And then this is for adding strike-through pricing on the website. Really simple. If you go into the product page in the admin, you're simply just updating the price to whatever discounted price you wanted here, and then the old price is the compare at price.
All right, fantastic. I'm so excited about the appendix too, with those other resources. We do have another question, Paul. Can someone clarify the difference between Shopify and LOL?
Yeah, I think because, like, just from my perspective, and anybody else from the FTD side jump in here, but like because these themes have been sort of set up on your behalf, there's a certain structure to your theme and the way that you use it. You have a certain set of options, so it's just, I think it's the same. It's the same thing, but it's just referring to your type of Shopify store. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, so Mercury Online, is FTD's specific website that can be purchased through FTD, and Shopify is the platform that is used, and that's from a very non-technical person. So Kate or Michael, if there's a better thing, let me know, a better explanation. But we do have another question from Derek. Are we able to sell gift cards on our website? And yes, Kate, I will unmute you.
Yeah, so gift cards are a type of product that can be created on Shopify, but I would have to refer again to the FTD team to figure out. It depends if you want them to work purely online, or if you want those discount gift cards to work online and in store. It can be a little bit of a different process there, so I'd probably need to know a little more around your MHQ software and how that integrates with Shopify.
Hi, everyone. I can shed some light here for the MOL side. So the relationship that we have with Shopify is we build the website, and Shopify, we being FTD, and then which is our MOL site, our Mercury Online, and Shopify is the platform that we use to support the website. So where we can do all of our imaging, we can do all the your cart, you can do your purchasing through there. So when we create the website for your flower shop, we do it through the Shopify platform. So that's the relationship between FTD and Shopify. So our MOL, our Mercury Online, is powered by Shopify.
Yep.
Kate, can you answer if the MOL sites are able to sell gift cards?
We actually haven't had that question come up. I'm taking it as a takeaway, and I will definitely get back to you. That's a great question. And I know that, Paul, I know you guys can probably do it on the Shopify. I just have to make sure that it's translated through the website, through FTD, through MHQ.
For sure.
So let me take that as a takeaway. That's a great question.
Fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. I don't see any other questions it's at time. I guess if anybody has any additional questions, feel free to just send them into FTD and we'd be happy to answer those. But for now, we just want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Paul, for sharing your incredible knowledge of this with everyone. And as I mentioned before, a recording will be available on demand on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel, which you will be getting a link to that sent to you to your email inbox tomorrow. And for more education programming from FTD, please visit ftdi.com to register for upcoming free webinars and design shows, as well as viewing past education programs on demand from us. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, team. Thank you very much.